This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Casper. Now is the perfect time to give Casper a try yourself or to gift Casper to someone you care about. For a Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal, head over to casper.com/savings to save 10% off on your entire order with any Casper mattress. For a limited time only, this offer expires on November 27th. Terms and conditions apply. And by Away. Away makes first-class luggage at coach prices that allow you to charge your phone on the go. For $20 off a suitcase, go to awaytravel.com/Andrew and use the promo code Andrew. That's awaytravel.com/Andrew, promo code Andrew.
What's the tech?
Everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by my favorite person on the face of the planet, Paul Thurrott.
So,
Andrew, let us know
that. Your volume just went down pretty dramatically.
It did. How was it now?
Yeah, like the intro
still...
music, like the volume came down, and then your voice, you sound kind of distant.
Do I still sound distant to you? Or
I don't mean emotionally distant. I mean,
well,
like
vocally.
Sometimes it sounds like you're in the wrong microphone. It kind of sounds like that.
Huh.
I mean, I don't think you are. I think it's the whole sound level. I don't know if everyone else does not notice it, then we don't have to worry about it.
I think it'll be fine for everybody else, but I could have Suncast look into this while we're doing this because he is always listening. He's always watching.
It's actually starting to sound a little better.
Okay. We'll figure it out. Hey, everybody. This is What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. I'm joined by my favorite person, as I told you, Paul Thurrott. Boy, I have a lot of stuff to talk about today because... I got a lot of goodies this week.
Oh.
I'm almost done with my review for the glass thermostat that I got a couple months ago.
Wait. I never told you this. I also got one of those.
Oh, nice. Did you hook it up?
And I have still not installed it.
Okay, well, mine's been installed, and I've been using it in, it's my real thermostat now. So I've done, it hasn't been, like if you saw all these reviews...
Test heat a room to see if it works?
No. I thought it was really interesting because, like the Nest, right? That's the one that everybody talks about. Or now this, right? This is absolutely a beautiful device. It's something out of Minority Report, where it's this glass display and it's projected on the glass and it has Cortana support. It has all this stuff. It's actually awesome. It also has a lot of issues, but I've been using it for the last 2 months. I just can't do a review because the room that it's in is in shambles because of all the construction. So today they're painting the wall that it's on. So I'm almost done with that review. I have to tell you, though, this is the beginning of something really cool. How these smart thermostats are probably going to end up being the central hub. We're going. I think we may be looking at this the wrong way with, we have the Alexa boxes, we have the Echo, we have the Google Home stuff. Facebook is now in the game. Everybody's involved in this. I think maybe incorporating a lot of those features in the thermostat and having that as your smart display could be where we're headed with this. Because if you think about it, there's no reason why that new Google display that they released can't incorporate Nest support in it somehow. If you already have a Nest, right? There's a lot that you could do with this. I do want to talk about that, but I also got the HP Spectre X360 13-inch, and I've been using that since Friday. So it not a lot of long-term stuff, but I do want to do a comparison compared to this one that I have here. And this is the this is not the
previous gen.
Which one? The previous generation one. Yeah, it is the previous gen. This is the Elitebook though, not the this is the Elitebook lineup with the 7th gen processor, but it's very, very similar to this. But I do want to do a comparison because this is a pretty... Oh, that's weird. When I touched it, something happened.
To the magnets connect or something?
I think something happened here. I do want to do a comparison of these two because this is a very close in form factor and functionality device, but there's so many improvements over the 8th gen versus the 7th gen chipset in this thing. So I do want to talk about that. And a very interesting article that Paul wrote about... a couple days ago, how the MacBook Air, the new MacBook Air, is the best thing that could have possibly happened to a Surface laptop. Obviously, a lot to talk about today, and a whole lot more whatever Paul wants to talk about. Whatever you want to talk about, Paul.
Wow.
Whatever that other stuff. But before we continue, I want to thank our great sponsor, and that's Away Travel. This is my suitcase for life. I use my Away carry-on suitcase pretty much not even, I mean, obviously when I travel, but for everyday stuff. This is my bag when I have to go out and do some sort of recording, or if I know I'm going to have a long day in Manhattan and I need to have a suit on me if I wasn't going to wear a suit. This is my travel case for everything. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the high quality product that it has, that it is. This could be your only suitcase that you need. Honestly, I always use a carry-on. I never check in my luggage, and this thing is amazing. And it also charges my phone, which is a huge plus here, right? The fact that you could do this. Away makes affordable, high-quality suitcases that charge your phone. Away's a perfect gift for anybody that is on your holiday list. You know, a lot of us travel. A lot of us have sales jobs. A lot of us have events that they have to go to. A lot of us are podcasters. So you'll be amazed how many podcasters listen. And you know what? This is becoming a real job for some of us in the podcasting world, Paul. I don't know if you know that. Actually, you know what? I do want to do another interview with you to kind of sidetrack on this, because you have been making money podcasting for about 10 years now, and that's a huge accomplishment in this world. We'll talk about that also on the show. The great thing about these luggages, these carry-ons and large size bags, they come in very different colors. There's a variety of colors and 4 sizes. There's a carry-on, the bigger carry-on, the medium, and the large bag, which is the large one is really big. The carry-on bag features 2 USB ports with a high-capacity battery, allowing you to charge multiple devices on the go, a phone, a tablet, and even a laptop you could charge on this thing. Ultra durable and yet ultra lightweight. It's made. It's a premium polycarbonate. It's an impact-resistant German polycarbonate. It's like a Mercedes. It's the Mercedes of luggage. This bag. Also, it's theft-proof, TSA-approved combination lock built in to keep your belongings safe. And they have a great offer for you guys. If you go to awaytravel.com/Andrew and use the promo code Andrew, when you check out, you get $20 off a suitcase. And I highly recommend the carry-on. I'm biased towards the carry-on. Obviously, if you need a bigger size, go with a bigger size. But flying is such a pain in the butt. And knowing that this will get through carry-on, they're not going to tell you that, oh no, it's not the right size. And you have a battery there where you could charge your devices. Because when I was in Barbados, my phone was dead, and we were trying to get updates from relatives. There was something going on here with my house, so we were trying to get an update, and my battery is dead. And you know what? It was so easy. I plugged this thing into my suitcase, and I was able to communicate with them, which is great. Comes with a lifetime warranty. Also, if anything breaks, Away will replace or fix your bag. Risk-free 100-day trial period also. That is awaytravel.com/Andrew. Get $20 off your suitcase, plus free shipping anywhere in the lower 48 states. I want to thank Away for supporting the show. Paul, you know what?
I want a bag.
I'm going to tell you something, though. I really like their product. And it's, you know, I feel like when I talk about the products, and obviously the average ads that we have here, I use almost every single one, right?
No, you don't understand. I literally shop this site like all the time. Like
guys,
I look at these. I like legitimately. I just showed this product to my wife.
That's amazing. Can you guys send Paul a bag, please? Thanks. Thanks. That's how you do it. Let's begin with this article, because 2 weeks ago the MacBook Air was unveiled. The new MacBook Air. We praised it in a lot of ways. We criticized it in a lot of ways. I think more praise than negativity with this device.
Well, Andrew, we should talk about what's happened since then.
Oh, let's go. Tell me.
Because I have one now.
Okay.
And it's really nice. Yeah.
Which gen Intel is it? Do you remember?
Well, it's 8th. You mean the MacBook Air?
Yeah.
It's 8th gen Intel, but it's Y series.
Y series, yes.
But see, there's another but. But it's 7 watts, not 5 watts, like most Y series parts. So there's actually a single fan. It never comes on in normal use, but if you do something intensive, like I encoded a big video, it was cranking the whole time. So, you know, performance-wise, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but obviously it doesn't do as well, especially multi-core.
Sure.
as an 8th gen quad core U series processor, right? But
Okay.
it's probably at about 2/3 of that, somewhere in that range. It's not bad at all.
Interesting. What don't you like about it?
Um, I mean, I honestly, um,
By the way,
it's
that's a
not that I
really good
don't
sign.
like it.
That's a
Yeah,
really good
right.
sign
I
you
mean,
paused.
honestly, there's not a lot I don't like. Excuse me, like inform my cat that she's not welcome. Um, I'm nervous about the keyboard, right? And by nervous, I mean the reliability of the keyboard, because there have been issues with these butterfly keyboards, and I know this is the 3rd gen, but I also know that some people have had problem with 3rd gen butterfly keyboards. So there is that scary possibility I would be out in the world with this device and one of the keys will stop working, or in some
Yeah.
extreme cases, the keyboard itself might stop working. So I've not experienced this. But it's a worry, and I think it's a normal worry that anyone should have for these keyboards. But the display is beautiful. I am actually okay with the keyboard as far as the typing experience. It's a very short throw, but as we've moved to these shorter throw keyboards, I kind of prefer them. And some classic keyboards that I once considered to be excellent, like the keyboards you see on modern ThinkPads, I actually think they're a little too loose. Like they're long throws. You can kind of equate it to if you've ever driven a stick shift, like a good sporty car will have very short throws on the stick shift.
Yes.
And I know these aren't completely analogous, but it's a little bit like that. I've come to appreciate shorter throw keys, so I'm okay with that. The trackpad is fantastic. I think the expansion stuff is fine. I wish one of the ports was on the other side of the machine. It would support a little more versatile usage there, but they do have 2 USB ports, both of which are Thunderbolt 3 enabled. I think that's fantastic. I really like the Touch ID. I prefer fingerprint readers to facial recognition. They brought it to this machine. It's great.
Yeah, the fingerprint reader is actually it functions one of the best that I've seen on a laptop. I have it on my MacBook Pro, and it's really good.
Fantastic. Yeah, it works great.
Yeah.
So actually, I should answer your. I can't answer your original question, because there is one thing I really don't like, and it's the price. And there's always been sort of an Apple tax on these products. I get that, it's not new, but they literally kind of jacked the price $200 on this particular machine. They've basically gone up in price about 20% on everything they've released this year. So when you compare the new version of a product, whatever it might be, the MacBook Air, the iPad Pro, the iPhones, whatever, 20% up. It's a tough pill to swallow. I think that this machine at $999 would have made it a no-brainer, and we'd be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah. At
$11.99, $1,200, and of course the one I bought was almost $1,700 after taxes and everything. I upgraded the RAM to 16 gig. I upgraded the storage to 256, and I did that for a variety of reasons, but whatever. That's super premium PC price range. That's a pretty high-end Surface. It's a pretty high-end X1 Carbon. Yeah. It's a really high-end HP.
Here's a question
anything.
for you: Have we seen? Obviously 20% is a significant bump for year over year for pricing for the new product. But have we seen a change as far as the overall PC market has gone? Have we seen a price increase amongst competitive OEMs?
No.
Yeah.
No. In fact, if anything, with the recent generation of Surface devices, actually, the prices are going down, really. And more to the point, even when you kind of when you hold the price on something, one of the expectations you can have is that the capabilities are going to get better. One of the really neat things about what happened last year when Intel went to the 8th generation chips is that the U series chips, which are the ones that are in all laptops, basically, unless it's a super high-end machine or a super low-end machine, went from 2 to 4 cores.
Yeah.
In day-to-day use, if you're using Word or browsing the web or sending emails or whatever, you're not really going to see a big difference. But for those times when you're doing something like Photoshop or Excel with a big spreadsheet, or even playing a game or whatever it might be, video editing, whatever, that stuff is going to make a big difference. And it comes at no cost literal cost as far as the price of the processor. There's no cost of battery life. And I think it future-proofs the machine in a really nice way, because a quad-core processor is going to be a viable thing for years and years to come.
Yeah, the longevity of the device exceeds what you normally use. By the way, we'll talk about this in a few, but this device
that's part of your upgrade. Yep.
This is, here we go. This here, I believe I spec'd it out at $1,200.
Right. Actually,
This
so real
version.
quick, I when Apple announced the MacBook Air, I used that as an example because that computer is 2.75 pounds, same weight as the MacBook Air. It's a lot more versatile. The screen swings around. You can use it like a tablet. You can put it in tent mode. It supports a smart pen and multi-touch. It has way more ports. You could kind of rattle them off if you want to look at it, but in way more expansion. It has a good mix of modern and legacy ports. Screen is great. The typing experience is great. The trackpad is great. I believe it has a fingerprint reader, as I remember correctly, so it kind of lines up there, but it also has Windows Hello with the camera. Yep.
No, this does not have a fingerprint reader.
Are you sure?
I don't see it. Where would it be?
It would be on the front. It would be on the laptop lid. It would be.
So the Elitebook has the fingerprint reader.
What are you looking at now?
That's a Spectre. So the Elitebook, by the way, here has.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you. I'm referring to the Elitebook. So, I just. But you know what? Everything we just described. This is like the types of specs and benchmark type comparisons that people make in our world, right? The truth is, somebody's going to walk into an Apple store. They've had a MacBook Air for some number of years. It's probably covered with stickers or something, and they want a new one. And they're going to look at this new MacBook Air, and they're going to say, "My God, this thing is like smaller. It's lighter. It looks like a MacBook Air. It has a beautiful screen. That thing I've been waiting for. Small bezels, and it's more expensive. But again, I don't. This is not a rationalization. Well, it is a rationalization. It's not a justification, but you can kind of make the excuse to yourself. Well, I'm going to hold on to this thing for some number of years. I think in that world it doesn't matter. And Apple plays in the premium part of the PC market. This is the only part of the PC market that makes any money. And when you can charge extra for something like this and keep making money, that's a viable business. So, anyone could compare this to anything. I compared it today to the Surface Book. We can talk about that later too. From a pure specs perspective, the Surface Book, I would say, ultimately comes out on top. And because of that processor, the U-series processor, in some ways, it's probably more future-proof, if that means anything. But I don't think a lot of people looking at MacBook Airs are looking at Surface laptops, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the truth. So let's check into your Thurrott.com premium article, guys. If you have not signed up for Thurrott Premium, I highly recommend you do. I've been I think I'm number 23 Thurrott member. It's a good number. Michael Jordan's basketball jersey. So you wrote an article. And it's the MacBook Pro is the best thing to ever happen to the Surface laptop. Tell me why, because this is very interesting. Yeah. By the way, the new Surface laptop, again, beautiful device, great device.
So when Surface laptop first launched a year and a half ago, it came into market at a time when Apple had been ignoring the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, by that point for several years, whatever it was. Everyone for years now, the topic has been, here's what Apple needs to do to upgrade this computer. It's obvious they can do it right now. Why aren't they doing it? Time has gone by. And so there was a good argument to be made at the time, and there still is, that laptop's kind of a Me Too product, right? I'm sure I joked at the time. It's like Microsoft just invented the laptop. It's like 25 years after the first laptop, or whatever the time frame is, Microsoft finally comes, like the last PC maker on earth, to ship a laptop. And you're like, what is this thing? And the other thing that's notable about the Surface laptop, and this is really important, is that it's the only Surface device so far, although I guess you could throw Surface Go into this category a little bit, but that isn't trying to invent a new market, right? It's not the tablet that can become your laptop. It's not the laptop with the detachable screen. It's not the all-in-one computer where it comes down and you can draw on it. It's a laptop, right? And the only thing differentiating it from other laptops is that it has this Alcantara covering, which a lot of people don't like, frankly. So, there's something to be said for that. But the thing that's really interesting to me about Surface Laptop, and this is true of the first version as well as the second version, is just it has that kind of special something. It is the closest we've ever gotten on the Windows side of the fence to the MacBook Air. It's this perfect combination of size and shape and portability and power and typing quality and great trackpad and gorgeous screen. Like it kind of built on what Apple did with the MacBook Air and then left hanging there and improved on it in every way. And I think for a little while there, well, for the past year, I think there were people out there who were like I don't want to buy a MacBook Pro. The little MacBook's too small. Actually, Surface Laptop's right there. It's perfect. Yeah. The price is great. Obviously, some people prefer the Mac, but Apple eventually, of course, does release a MacBook Air, right? And I've argued, I will argue that I think it's a great upgrade for MacBook Air users. And pretty much that's it, right? I mean, the thing that's interesting about it is they didn't make it a no-brainer, right? The new MacBook Air is not this amazing world-changing thing like it was in 2010 when this
because
last
there's so
version
many
came
of
out.
them. There's
and
so
a
many
lot of them have
different
kind of
variables.
improved on the formula. Yeah, so they delivered something competent. It's in style with the types of things they put out today. It has that curious processor choice, which I think real world is probably not going to be a problem for most people who buy MacBook Airs. But what they didn't do was blow Surface Laptop out of the water, right? And they priced it $200 more expensive, inexplicably, right? As if to sort of prove to themselves and to the world that they are above the normal market forces that shape the strategies of every other company that competes in this market. And so that's what I mean. Like, in other words, what Apple did was they released the right upgrade for its existing users who was held on and are waiting. And that's going to serve that audience well. But what they haven't done is what the previous MacBook Air did, which was open up the Mac to all new users, like to switchers, to people who are like, holy crap, look at this thing. It's so much better than anything we have on the PC side. I'm willing to take the risk and the time and the effort and the expense to switch platforms because that thing is so good. And Microsoft, when they released Surface Laptop 2 a month or so ago, I think it's fair to say there was some disappointment because it's the same exact body. It just has a quad-core processor in it and one new color, which you have to spend extra for. You can't get it in the low-end version of the product. So if you haven't bought a Surface Laptop 2 yet, it's nice. It's still nice. It's always been nice, but it has a legacy expansion, one USB-A port, one mini display port. I mean, mini display port on a laptop these days is like having a serial port. It's kind of a weird, old-fashioned thing to have. They didn't even put a USB-C port on there. It's crazy. And so at the time, it looked kind of stilted and problematic. But then you see what Apple did with the MacBook Air, and you're like, oh, it's fine, because there's nothing there to take. If you were thinking about a Surface laptop, and then the MacBook Air comes out, you're like, okay, I don't even have to think about that. It's too expensive. It's just,
well,
it's out of the picture.
I mean, this is the. It's an interesting discussion to have about this because when the MacBook Air came out, you're in 2010. Yeah, forget about the first gen, but the second gen one, that was the one, and that really that was a game changer for a lot of reasons, right? Aesthetically, it was stunning. Performance was up to par with. Actually, there was nobody else in the class because the PC market in 2010, 2011 was very different. It was ugly. These laptops.
There are so many reasons why that computer was so impressive, but you have to kind of compare it to the first one, right? The second one is a little lighter, but let's say they're about the same weight, and yet it has a much better processor, more RAM, all SSD storage. The other one actually had a hard drive in it.
Yeah.
The other one had one USB port that was under a little door that you had to click open to get to it, and it kind of hung out there. This one has two. The 2010 version, two USB ports and a full-size SD slot. It retained the MagSafe, which was like the one big thing from the first one.
Listen, the PC market was still going nuts over netbooks at that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you want
to do a
MacBook Air
comparison.
was impressive, the second one. So yeah, it's a different market today, and I guess we could still kind of question, Microsoft coming to market with a laptop, whatever.
Well, I mean,
But
okay, so if Microsoft came to market when the Air was coming to market, if that was their direction, obviously
yeah,
this was not the concept of this company, right? They weren't thinking in this capacity.
they were never going to put this product out. You got to understand, like this was never going to happen.
Listen, this is the make-believe product we saw on TV shows with the Microsoft logo
Yeah,
on a laptop.
yeah.
10 years later.
It was something they rejected because it was just a laptop, right, internally, and it sat in the back burner for many years. Microsoft, look, the Surface might never have taken off. The first generation was a disaster. The second generation didn't really go anywhere.
RT was a
The
nightmare.
third one, yeah, the third one when they did Surface Pro 3, they finally hit on a formula that had to do with form factor and display, and the keyboard got, was vastly improved. And they came up with this notion of this is the tablet that can replace your laptop. And for a lot of people, it could and does still. It's still the most popular Surface form factor by far. It's not even close. They've had a lot less success in subsequent years trying to push these other form factors, and they will have no success next year when they release this stupid little mobile thing that everyone's so excited about for some reason. But because of a variety of factors, some Intel processor delays, some reliability problems they had with a certain generation of Surface PCs, which we shall never speak of again. They had kind of a hole in their product schedule, and they were like, we got to get something out. What do we have? It's like, well, we had this design back here, from 8 years ago about a laptop. Why don't we do that? And I think the Alcantara thing was just an attempt to like, look, okay, we're going to do this, but we have to differentiate it somehow.
By the way, I was just reminded in the chat room that the Spectre X360 13 does have a fingerprint reader. It's on the side.
Oh, it's on
though.
the side.
It's on the side.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
Totally forgot
That's
about that. I kind of like
thought you
that
were
on the
holding
side.
the Elitebook. Yeah,
I kind of like that. So here's the thing. We are now in a very competitive market. When you're aesthetics, everybody has a beautiful product on the market right now. Microsoft is producing a great laptop. HP is doing the same. Lenovo still, amazing products out there. Everybody's very competitive. But for the Mac side, listen, at 20% boost, they know that a 10-year, 15-year Mac user is not going to say, you know what? I'm just going to go buy a Surface laptop too. I don't even think they're aware because of the bubble that they're in. Listen, I've been using a Mac for the longest time. If I'm using, and I use it because it's convenient for me at this point, not because it's the best product on the market. These HP Spectres are great. The Surface Laptop 2 is phenomenal, which I absolutely love. The Surface lineup is great. I use it because this is what I know, and I feel the most comfortable with this, and I kind of don't want to relearn anything. And I'm thinking as a consumer right now, not as someone that's involved in technology, right? That's my thought process. Apple knows that you're not going to care. You're replacing a 2013 MacBook Air, like you said. You've been using it for 5 years, 6 years. You're going into Apple Store because you dropped it or you spilled water on it, and now you have to buy one. You're not even thinking it's $200 more.
That's actually, it's interesting. That's the other big thing that changed between Gen 1 and Gen 2 of the MacBook Air. The first MacBook Air cost $1,799. So there was a real premium to get this thing that was really constrained. It's a little bit like the little MacBook they have, same thing. That I think that one has always started at $1,299. But for that kind of machine, it's like, what is this? It's kind of a weird thing. The second gen MacBook, if I'm not mistaken, started at $1,299 when it first came out, and then it got quickly down to $999 for a base version, and it's been there ever since. And so I think part of the strangeness of this new version is they've kind of gone back up in price. Of course, Apple is Apple, and
Well, you justify it in this way, right? And somebody wrote this. Well, the previous one that was on the market was 3.5 years old. So now you're up to date and you're paying more. You weren't getting a bargain before. You were getting an outdated piece of hardware that they were price pointing under $1,000.
Right.
It's interesting. I do want to ask you another thing. The keyboard, like you said, have you? Because I've been using the new style Mac keyboards for a while. On the 15-inch, I feel like I don't know if there's any difference, and I should find this out, if there's any difference in the throw or anything, or the spacing compared to the 13-inch, because I have a miserable time typing on a 13-inch MacBook Pro with that new keyboard, like my wife's, and the keys are all screwed up. Like the shift key no longer works, the return key no longer works, delete is off the cocta. I use on the 15-inch, however, I've had no keyboard problems whatsoever.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, that I don't know. Look, it's not a news flash that these keyboards are kind of loud. They have that really clicky sound.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was, right? The new version has this they have these little, I don't know if they have little plastic pillows or whatever that go into the keys. So I think that has improved the sound a little bit. It obviously helps with the dirt not getting in there.
Paul, my wife was cooking the other day. She was in the kitchen. She had her laptop out, right? I walked into the kitchen. I thought she was playing Van Halen, Hot for Teacher. The intro of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, yeah. you hooked up the Google Home. It's no, I'm just typing.
I should try to measure this. I'd like to do a sound like a decibel rating on this. I have really big hands. I'm a heavy typist. People have commented on this. I'll be in a press room and I'm like, going to town on
you want to try
laptop
something?
I have.
Let's see if this gets picked up. I'm going to turn all my processing off on my audio. Okay. Let's see. So processing is all off. Do you hear this? Do you hear that?
Just barely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very light.
Let me see if I can pot this up, and I'm going to do a comparison with this HP and this one. Let's see.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be a comparison with the other. No, you can't really hear it.
You can. I think on the recording you could definitely hear it, but it is. There's no audio when you. I got to lower this now. Sorry. There's absolutely no sound when you're typing on any other keyboard. When you're typing on this, I mean, it's so obscenely loud. When I got it, the dumbest thing I thought was, oh, it has to be some sort of software feature where I could actually dampen the sound.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I honestly
kind of wonder. I wonder if the new version, if there's not some software element to what they're doing, because I don't find this to be objectionable on this machine. And I had a 15-inch briefly. I had the first one, or one of the ones you got. I had used at Redlingham that time, and it was like you said, it's like a machine gun. It's like it's crazy. But this is fine. Like I don't think. This is a total anecdotal, nonsense test. But I mean, it is absolutely louder than the Surface Laptop 2 in this case.
Very, very loud.
I mean, absolutely louder. But it's not. It's almost not. I'm not sure loudness is the right term. It's almost like a timbre or a tone to the sound. It has a sharp.
People.
I don't know. It doesn't bug me. I don't know.
Somebody messaged me once and we were talking about this, and they said, "Well, why does it? It's like He goes, I don't see a problem with this." I'm like, you know what's the problem? I'm like, if I'm sleeping, my wife is doing some work on her laptop, and that's all I hear. It's so loud where I have my 2015 MacBook Pro that I have in my bedroom because this is so disruptive. The keyboard, and by the way, this is a
special bedroom Mac.
I do have a bedroom Mac. I have a bedroom HP.
For those quiet moments.
Yeah, for those quiet moments, use a 2015. For those loud and aggressive moments, the 2017 will do.
Right.
I don't listen. It's a very nitpicky complaint at the end of the day, but I am primarily in the Mac ecosystem because of the keyboard. It plays a tremendous part for me because I type so much. Yeah. Which, by the way, that is a knock at the Spectre. I have to talk about that. I'm not adapting to this keyboard as well as I did to the Elitebook, which our friend over at HP, he'll find that interesting because they pride themselves.
Well,
on
I don't know.
keyboard.
I hadn't heard him talk about this for the new generation, but on the previous versions, he was saying that he felt like the Elitebook I don't know if it was the 1030 or 1040, whichever one it was at the time. The previous gen was like the very best typing experience he had ever had. And I got to say, there is something about the Elitebooks. I don't know
Yes.
if it's the materials. They are. If you compare the keyboards, they are different, right? The Elitebooks have kind of a like a black island style key sitting inside of the aluminum body, and on the Spectre, I believe I don't know if the keys are actually, they're probably plastic too, but they're silver, and they kind of match the color of the device.
I do want to do a clickbaity YouTube video where I look at the camera with my hat backwards and I'm like, "Hey guys, this is the top 3 keyboards of all time. Number 1,
No,
the
it's like,
old school
this is why
ThinkPad."
you should never buy this laptop.
Yeah. Number 1, the old school ThinkPads had the best best keyboard that I had used at the time. The MacBooks for a very long time were the best keyboard I used. This Elitebook comes in very close to like a 2015 MacBook Pro. It's right there. I think if I spent a week more with this thing than I did when I first got it, I would have adjusted very easily. I am having a difficult time adjusting to the Spectre, but I wonder if that's because I've gotten so used to the new MacBook style for the keyboard.
The Spectre X360 for a couple of gens there at least was in the top 1 or 3 of all the keyboards for sure. Yeah. And there are a lot of machines that are kind of right there. The Elitebooks are in there. The Surface Laptop and Surface Book are absolutely in there. But I think the typing experience has evolved over time, and so that kind of vaunted ThinkPad keyboard with the full size keys and all that. I mean, these days, I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who may not even like that kind of thing anymore. And when the Apple started coming up with these island style keyboards, not that they originated it, I know they weren't the first, but they sort of popularized this design. I mean, the whole PC market rotates around everything Apple does. They just copy everything Apple does. So I wasn't that impressed with it at first. Over time, I've come to really appreciate it. I like that style of keyboard. And then if you kind of accept that this MacBook Air, whatever it is, butterfly keyboard is, the next progression. I don't know. I mean, this might be one too far for some, but like I said, like the one that's in this MacBook Air, I could use this. I wrote a 2,000 word article with it, with no sense of additional errors or whatever.
Listen, also majority of your typing is coming on a glass screen. A 5.5 inch, 6 inch glass screen now. So anything is an improvement.
Well, okay,
the bar's been set so low for your typing experience. This is what you're doing now. This is how most people are typing. So when you go to a laptop, when I get those emails saying, I don't understand the big deal about keyboards. It's a keyboard's a keyboard. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Remember when the Surface first came out, one of the things Microsoft tried was something called a touch cover. And a touch cover was, a protective cover you put over your Surface. And when you open it up, it had kind of a keyboard drawn on it, but there weren't any moving parts. It was just using, haptic feedback or something or whatever it was to, sense the typing. And the idea there was, look, this is a genius idea. It has 2, primary uses. It covers the screen, so you get that protection when you're carrying it around, but it's better than writing on the screen, like with, typing on the screen. And the reason it's better is because you're not covering anything up on the screen, right? It kind of, like, oh, that makes sense. But the truth is it was terrible.
But it had a little bit of a throw, right?
No,
there was no throw.
It was all imagined. It was just like typing on glass. Well, it was typing on fabric or whatever the material was, but yeah. I mean, and it only lasted, I think they did it for the 2 generations and they got rid of it. And the type covers have evolved into wonderful typing experiences. I mean, you're always going to get a little bit of flex, because if that thing is kind of, not flat on the surface, there's going to be you can push it a little more easily because it's a cover. But honestly, the typing experience on a Surface Pro, I would say dating back to Surface Pro 3 is excellent.
Yeah, much better. It's improved
Yep.
tremendously.
Yep.
Paul, I want to remind everybody, if you enjoy the show, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I recently quit my job and I'm back at this full time. Andrew's back, baby. I left my job and I will be, we're back on Tuesdays. more consistent schedule. We're doing a lot more stuff on Patreon, obviously, all the extra stuff. And if you want to help us, you want to help the show from continuing, you want to help me continue on as podcasting full time like I did for many years, and then I went and took a job, and for about 20 something months I was very disconnected from this podcasting world, but I'm totally back, and it's actually it's liberating, Paul. Paul would see me regularly. Literally every time he would come to New York, him and Mary Jo would sit down, and at one point of the night, it would be an intervention, and it would say, Andrew, what are you doing to yourself? You're killing yourself. And Mary Jo, I was at Rattle, by the way, Rattle and Hum is shutting down. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, I didn't know this.
You did not, or you did?
I do. I'm trying to avoid the reality of it.
Yeah. Jolene from Rattle and Hum texted me last week when we were doing the show, and he told me that they are shutting down. The rent has skyrocketed to something obscene. The landlord wants something like 40, 50,000 a month from them for that bar, and it's so sad to see it go. They just celebrated 10 years. I think, are you gonna come by? Are you gonna come down for one last trip?
Yeah, I think I probably have to, right?
I don't know when they're shutting. Let me see when she said.
It's pretty soon, actually.
I think end of the month.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at my message right now because she messaged me last week, and November 25th, Rattle and Hum is shutting down. So I want to remind everybody, maybe we could do something. One last thing, me, you, and Mary Jo and Brad. Maybe we could do like a show from there or something, because that would spend our home for so long every time you come here. So we need to find a new bar. That's the reality of this. Paul and I need a new bar when he's in New York. But if you enjoy the show and you want us to continue doing this, I'm going at it 150%, and I have a lot of cool stuff in 2019 coming up. You could fund us by going to patreon.com/whatthetech. You could fund us as little as $1. You can fund us as much as whatever you want to fund us, and it keeps the bills getting paid here, because Suncast he's going on strike soon, and he's demanding a new contract. I got the union representatives negotiating with it. It's bad. He claims that he does everything here. Paul, can you believe that? Can you believe that he said that he edits everything, and he does actually, that a lot of that goes to him.
I can believe that.
Yeah. He really is the backbone here, and he's one of the most loyal people I've ever met in my life. So, also, if you want to hire him to edit something for you, you could hire him, because he's phenomenal. You can go to Patreon, patreon.com/whatthetech. You can fund us there. So, Paul, let's talk about this Spectre for a little bit. Okay. I got it. So the comparison that I'm doing with this is the Elitebook that I had from a year and a half ago. I like the Elitebook keyboard way better, but man, this has come a long way from that generation Spectre.
Show us let me see the keyboard on that thing. Yeah, I'd always wish that and this is the new Spectre X360?
Yeah.
Because it's funny, that looks like an Elitebook.
It does. It looks just like an Elitebook. They
should do the black key thing. I think that's a nice contrast.
Yeah. So this is first of all, it's super light. It's super durable. I'm looking at this. So I think it's is it a 226 hard drive? I don't know. But the processor on this, what did I do? I messed this up. I had it open the whole time. Where's about this? OS build info. Here we go. So this is a quad-core i7 in this thing. It's an 855U. So it's a 1.8 gigahertz processor. I think it peaks at whatever, like what is it, 4 turbo boost, whatever. But it's a true quad-core. And I was doing some video stuff on here. I hooked up one of my cameras with a capture card to this thing, and the CPU was not budging. I was very impressed by the fact that it wasn't budging, considering the fact that on my Mac, and a lot of this could do with driver support and things like that, but my 2017 MacBook Pro, that's a 2.8 gigahertz Intel i7. I don't know what gen. Is it 7th gen? Maybe this one's 7th gen? I don't know what gen they put in this thing. But this thing, at times it hiccups. So if I'm going to be doing more live stuff on the go, and I kind of want to see how this does. It has two Thunderbolt ports on this side and one USB port on this side. Headphone jack, fingerprint sensor, volume toggle here, which I don't know. They could have done a little bit better on that.
Hardware because, well, they do that because it can be a tablet.
It could be a tablet. So
right. So the idea is you don't necessarily. It's just an easier way to do it.
The trackpad is really good. Here's my gripe though. Okay, coming from the Mac side, things are a little bit more uniformed on the Mac side, right? And here's a question for you: in Chrome, are you on a laptop right now, Paul?
No, but I can open one up.
Okay, if you open up Chrome and you do pinch and zoom,
yeah,
it's like that fakakta weird, like it zooms in, but it's not fluid, right? Like it would be on Edge.
Andrew, I'm trying this on my MacBook Air and it's not working. What am I doing wrong?
No, not on the Mac. You're not showing it enough love.
That's a joke.
You got to caress it. You got to talk to it. You got to love it. So, but I don't understand why Chrome on the PC doesn't do pinch and zoom properly.
So, I mean, I would never touch my screen to pinch and zoom.
No. I'm saying on the trackpad.
Oh.
Right, like I got very used to on the Mac to do that, where if I need to see something a little bit, I'll zoom in.
You would actually pinch to zoom on the Mac. Oh, on the trackpad.
Yeah, on the trackpad I'm talking about, not on the screen.
I would just, control plus.
Yeah, so you don't have to do that.
Well, but I do have to do that. I'm using a PC.
We're using a PC, but on Edge, you don't have to do that, right? On Edge, it actually does pinch and zoom very nicely on the trackpad.
Oh yeah, but I'm a normal person. I don't use Edge.
People don't. I don't understand why it has not been incorporated in Chrome for the PC. I think that's bizarre. I think that's a very bizarre thing for them to do, and I'm curious if this is some sort of like FU to Microsoft on the Chrome side. You don't think so? You don't think this is some sort of gripe?
No, I don't. I don't think that. It could very well just be that because of the way the Mac is, they have this system, available to developers where they can do custom gestures or whatever. I don't know.
Let's see. Let me download Firefox on this thing.
I just don't personally ever
pinch and zoom.
I would never even think to do that. It's just not natural.
On the Mac, they've kind of trained you to pinch and zoom everything because remember it was a big thing. This 10-axis trackpad for a long time. There is no touch.
Windows 10 has great multi-touch gestures on the trackpad. Like you can do 3 fingers down to minimize everything, 3 fingers up to to bring it back, 3 fingers up again to go to task view. There are those things exist. I just don't. It would never occur to me in an app to. I'm
to pinch and zoom.
Trying it now because I'm curious about it, but I would never. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's terrible.
Yeah, but it's terrible. It's not fluid. On Chrome.
Chrome's not fluid. I mean, sure. Okay, it works. I mean,
it works, but it's a little off. I mean that was that was like a little bit of an adjustment. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'm surprised they don't do that. But everything, I mean, essentially, listen, man, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. This is a beautiful device. If you're in the PC market, I highly suggest checking these out. If you are a Mac user, you're never going to be happy going to a PC. That's the reality of it. It's going to be
because of that.
No. Just in general, they're not. I don't believe that transition is happening. People are abandoning their MacBooks because it's 20% more to go get a PC. They're just buying a lower end device. I think Microsoft had a little window in the sun, where that kind of stuff was happening. I think since then we've seen think about it. What have we seen over the past year? Major MacBook Pro upgrade twice, right? 2017 and 2018. Which is unprecedented, by the way. Yeah. And then MacBook Air was finally updated, right? I mean, this is going to stop the flow of people from the Mac. I think they've done what they had to do to keep people there. There's some stuff that doesn't make sense, like the low-end MacBook doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but I think they've done what they need to do. Let's see. Does pinch and zoom work? No, it's crappy on Firefox also. This is my new bezel, by the way. Pinch and zoom.
Now that the world has finally gone to small bezels, you found a new
I found
Cause
interesting.
the
By the way,
champion.
the bezel's not that small on this laptop. The top and bottom bezel.
Yeah, well, right. HP insists on these 16:9 displays or whatever they are.
Yeah. So that's okay. But the display's beautiful. It's a great device. I do need more time with it though. I can't make a determination how much I like this thing. In 3 days.
I mean, I would say at this point, I would choose an Elitebook over a Spectre, an Elitebook X360 over a Spectre X360. But the only concern I would have as an individual is that HP puts a lot of corporate software on there. So there's a lot of additional security stuff, which, on one level you could kind of say, well, why would I complain about that? But there's a bunch of additional utilities that are kind of baggage with those machines, So I think if you were going to buy that as an individual, I bet a lot of people would want to,
let me see here.
disable some of that stuff.
I'll tell you what HP does really well compared to some other OEMs. They so their HP Support Assistant, that software that they give you, where it tells you, your warranty and messages from HP. I mean, a lot of it is nonsense, but they have you could download updates for drivers through there, and it's actually supported. Like, it's not forgotten about. And the Elitebook that I have here, it's 2 years old, but this thing is still, I mean, there's driver updates constantly for it compared to how it used to be, or for some other OEMs out there, like, I don't know, I'm just throwing a name, like Dell or Lenovo, where they won't support it this often with updates.
I mean, Lenovo has a similar utility.
I have it on my Lenovo. And it's kind of wonky. I actually like the HP one better, but that's
I think the HP one's kind of weird. It's kind of an anachronistic, old-fashioned kind of a thing. But yeah, but whatever. Having that thing on the PC is huge for sure.
So there's no updates on this. I wonder why. I wonder if they did everything beforehand. Interesting. You want to do the performance tune-up check? I find those really weird, those tune-ups. What is it going to tell me? We're
going to scan your registry.
Yeah, it does a system file check. It deletes temporary files, and that's about it, and clears the cookies. Don't clear my cookies, man. Don't clear my cookies.
Don't you dare clean my cookies.
Don't you dare. No, I think,
it's my cookies but me.
Yeah. So there was another story here you ran, and I'm curious about this. So we haven't spoken about by the way, have you noticed something? No beep today.
Right. What happened?
It's gone. It's gone. I killed it.
What was it?
It was the FiOS ONT that was messed up.
It fell into the wall.
It fell into the wall. So I retrieved it, and there's been no beep.
Yeah.
I kind of miss it.
Well, you probably still have the echo beep in your head.
Oh, it's been beeping every 20 minutes in my head. That's been something that's been going on. You wrote, there was an article on Thurrott.com. I don't think you wrote this one, but they were talking about a lower tier Netflix plan. And I was recently on Cord Killers last week, and we were, obviously always, it's a nice reminder to me on how much I'm spending now on streaming services now that I've cut cable. So it's actually becoming so inflated for so many people, where it's not I don't know how much cheaper this is for me at this point that I cut cable. Right? Because we all have Netflix. I have Hulu. I
don't think that's the point, right? The problem with cable is that the price escalates over time. But you're also kind of locked into this thing. And once you go to services, even if it's identical cost-wise, you can turn off a service at any time and switch to something new electronically, like at any time. And to me, that freedom is the real point of it,
I'll tell you what. I mean, I went to a friend's house a couple of weeks ago and we were watching a football game on Sunday. And, he has this beautiful new TV and he had cable. And I go, oh my God, I forgot what it's like watching sports on real TV. It's so much better. It looks way better. You don't have this weird, jitteriness like you do on the internet. And some people are going to argue with me and tell me that it's great on their service, whatever they watch on the internet. YouTube TV is the only thing that you could kind of tolerate sports because it actually does 60 frames per second. So, where watching sports in 30 frames per second is miserable. I mean, you could obviously see the difference, and I totally forgot how good it looks on network TV, and I'm thinking, you know what? Listen, I notice these things, but is anybody else gonna notice this? That it's weird looking. I mean, maybe that's why people are still hanging on to their cable subscriptions, because it just works.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
I thought it was interesting, but you know, it's getting so inflated now. Like, what subscriptions do you have right now? You have
We have
Netflix,
YouTube
obviously.
TV, which we never watch.
Yeah,
In fact, we
$40 a
should
month
just get
there.
it's a waste of $40 a month. Netflix is the one we use primarily. We started watching a series last night on Amazon Prime, but honestly, we very rarely use it. And then we had been watching The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, and I don't think I've turned Hulu on since then, but I pay for that every month too, like a dope, you know.
Yeah, I have all
Stuff
three.
works, dude. You know, you sign up for all this stuff and you just keep paying for it. You know, it's stupid.
Yeah, because you know what it is? It's $10 here, $10 there. It's not a
Well, I
$200
should
bill
say,
coming at once.
yeah. So actually, YouTube TV, we watch the playoffs, the World Series.
Yeah.
And I haven't done this too much yet, but the football will go on, on Sundays or whatever. So there is that, I guess. But as far as like shows go, the one big change that's happened this past year, I guess, is that we don't like shows have come back and we just don't watch them now. Like The Walking Dead came back. It's like, I don't even care anymore.
I don't know. I think it's getting so inflated. I got to cut something. I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have YouTube TV. I have I had DirecTV Now. I canceled it, but I should check my credit card to see if I'm still getting billed for this stuff. I have I have the WWE Network. I have the MLB Network. It's so much at this point. There's so much to pick from.
Yeah.
And it's how much TV am I watching? Listen, I watch the news in the morning, and that's about it.
We watch a couple hours each night. We watch 30 minutes at lunch every day. We watched 2 episodes of whatever that show was last night, which is only 30 minutes long, actually. But I don't know. I watch a lot. I watch more YouTube, like real YouTube.
Yeah, my wife hates that, by the way. I want to just tell you, just that makes her lose her mind. The fact that that's all I watch is YouTube videos on the TV every night. That's literally, I get my glass of wine, and that's all I do.
Yeah, now a lot of this stuff is shorter, but like last night, for example, my wife was out and I watched an entire Queen concert from 1986, rather. It was probably 2 hours long. Like I just left it on, and I was kind of tooling around with the laptops and doing stuff, but it was excellent. It's just, I watched a lot of that stuff. I watched a lot of the little device type reviews. And I have my own stupid stuff that I like that nobody cares about. Like
conspiracy theories like me?
No.
Do you end up down the Anunnaki rabbit hole where
No.
Planet 9 and Planet X?
No, I don't. Nope.
Okay.
Don't fall for that.
It's
stuff.
just
but
me. Okay.
I have the stupid, so I'm going to just turn on, I brought up YouTube so you can kind of see the types of stuff that are here. Like I go down these things where I've watched like video after video of like Norm Macdonald or Rodney Dangerfield or kind of classic comedians like that. Like I will lose days to that, So I have a lot of those things coming up. I watched Queen last night, so there's a Queen Live Aid thing that it's recommending for me today. I watched car reviews by the guy that used to do the New York Times car reviews. Tom Volke is great, driven. I strongly recommend it. Lots of Apple stuff, lots of Star Wars stuff, tech stuff in general, some music stuff in there, just because, the problem is like once you watch something, you ever do something like, it's like you click on something by mistake and now you're screwed. Because now they think you care about this stuff,
Yeah. Well, that's I bring that up all the time. My YouTube recommended list is all, Yeah,
I want a way to be like, no,
up.
don't.
Yeah. Maybe we could talk about this on the post show because we're running out of time here. But I do want to give a little thing. Something I stumbled upon was the Alternative History Hub on YouTube. And this guy does a great job. And Paul, you might actually enjoy this. And he does a great job at doing what if history. Like one of it is, what if Operation Unthinkable happened?
Right.
That's for people who don't know, that's it's the British and the Americans going to war with the Soviets. So this is something Winston Churchill
I mean,
proposed.
like at the end of World War II.
At the end of World War II,
we defeated Germany. Now we're going to move over and start
to fight communism.
Russia.
So, like, some of it is like, what if the Roman Empire never existed? It's a lot of cool stuff. You can look them up. Alternative History Hub. They do. I mean, they have like millions of views on some of these videos, which is cool. We'll talk about that on the post show, guys. If you're watching live, stay tuned. We're going to do What the Talk coming right up. If you're listening to the podcast, go fund us and get access to these shows. It's patreon.com/whatthetech. You can go there. I don't know why I'm not able to switch the cameras today. That's patreon.com/whatthetech. You can go and fund us as little as $1 per episode, and you can do it right there. All things Paul, go to Thurrott.com. Subscribe to Thurrott Premium. You get articles like we discussed today. What if, not what if, geez, I'm losing my mind. What if, Paul, the great article about if how the new Jesus, I can't even think. The new iPad, MacBook, how the new MacBook Air is the best thing to happen to the Surface laptop. I thought that was a cool headline there. Anything else, Paul? Anything coming up?
No, nothing major. I've got a bunch of devices that I still need to get reviews out, so I'm going to try to crank through those over the next 30 years of my life. I don't know. It's just always trying to catch up,
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for this week. You follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zarin. You can follow Paul at Thurrott, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.